world, what is up? Welcome to Behind the Wheel, the brand new show filled with new product info, tips, and stories for all you drivers and couriers driving with Uber out there. I'm your host, Matt Forte, and joining us today, a very exciting guest. I've been with the company now since 2016, has been very passionate and vocal about their goal to make Uber the best platform for flexible work in the world. And I think they've done a lot of remarkable stuff to do exactly that. We'll get to some of it today. It's funny, in our first episode, I was surprised to learn that a lot of our execs here at Uber have made it a regular practice now to get themselves literally behind the wheel. And I think, don't quote me on this, I could be wrong, but I have reason to believe today's guest has a lot to do with that. All of this, and if her Instagram is any indication, she also loves a good charcuterie board and is counting down the days to October 31st. Please welcome to the show, Senior Director, Global Head of Driver and Courier Operations at Uber US, the great Carrol Chang is with us. Carrol, how are you doing? Hello, welcome.
Hi, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me, Matt.
Oh, it's so great to have you on the show. It means a ton to all of us. I really appreciate it. Fantastic to have you here. I threw a lot at the board in the intro there. I have a ton of stuff, obviously, I want to get to today. Obviously, your work with Uber. And if there's time, your Halloween costume game, which is, if I may say, next level stuff.
Thank you.
I'll do a little podcast tease, and I'm just going to say the Tic Tacs costume and the infinity mirror. Okay, more on that later. Hopefully, we'll get to that later if we have time. But let's start with the easy stuff. For those who are unfamiliar with who you are and the work you do here, just give us a quick self-introduction and what you do at Uber.
So I lead global driver and courier operations, which means that I am thinking about the experience and the pain points that drivers and couriers have on our platform and how to make that better.
Awesome. Let's keep going. Let's pull the curtain back a little bit further. What does that look like in day to day? What's a typical day in the life look like for you in your role?
A typical day really starts with trying to stay close to the experience of the people who are using our app to earn money. So what that means is whether it's reading a forum, whether it's going out on my ride to work and talking with the driver that I'm paired with, whether it's reading some support tickets that we're getting or open-ended feedback that we get from all of the surveys that we do with drivers, it's just trying to understand how are drivers and couriers feeling out there? Yeah. What are the things that they want us to improve? And then trying to build that into our everyday work. So in a typical day, I might find something and might say, that seems like it's wrong. Maybe that's a bug. And then so I'm trying to chase down, hey, is this a bug? And are we fixing it? And if so, how soon will we fix it? And what's the plan? Or it might be, we are getting feedback on removing access to the platform, which is a really serious thing. It's a very big focus of the company and something that we really, really need to do better on. And so working with the team that's, dozens and dozens of people right now to try to make that better. And throughout, I have a lot of folks throughout the company, whether it's on the product side, the engineering side, marketing, support, communications, policy, legal, and all of us are really here trying to do the same thing, which is to make Uber the best place in the world for flexible work. And so we each play a role in that. And so I'm trying to constantly work across those different teams to make sure we're all marching in the same direction.
My God, all in one day. That's a day in the life. That's amazing. One of the things you said early on that kind of stood out to me is the idea of you like getting in the weeds, reading the forums, reading just the honest and real-time feedback. I've made a bit of a career of being a little bit on the internet and doing interviews and doing talks and all these different things. And I've never read the comments. I can't bring myself to do it. I don't go near it. I don't. And I'm sure there's a lot of opinions out there, and I'm grateful that everyone has an opportunity to express them, but I personally cannot expose myself to them. Now, I know it's different because it could be about me personally. I don't think anyone's posting about Carrol Chang, but they could be. But is that a tough thing to do? Is it because there is a lot of honest feedback and sometimes that's hard to take? Is it a difficult task to get in there and sift through and read all the forums and stuff? Or what is that like for you? Do you relish that? Because that's where you get the data. What's that experience like?
I love reading unfiltered comments. I have to say, you do have to have a thick skin going into it because online forums can be a dark place. I mean, you can go down rabbit holes. I can't tell you how many Friday nights I have spent saying, the workday is over. Now let me just check out what's going on in the driver forums, and then like 3 hours later, I'm trying to surface for air. So I will say that you have to have a thick skin and you have to do it in doses. But the number one theme throughout all of this is that, there's that old saying, feedback is a gift.
Yeah.
And so, you have to always receive it. Whether you decide to take action on it or not is going to be up to you, but you have to always treat feedback as a gift and be receptive to it. And so I think at Uber, that's the culture here. And that we're trying to make sure that we're always open to the feedback of anyone who's using our platform. Yeah. And more often than not, even if you find yourself spiraling down a circle of, dark, comments, and there's a lot of,
which you can do, it happens. Yeah.
And it happens. But the thing is that more often than not, there are very valid complaints. Yeah. And that's really the thing that keeps me working here and keeps me motivated, is that there are really valid concerns that drivers and couriers have. And so it is our job to make sure that we are winning the preference of drivers and couriers every day. They don't have to choose Uber. Right. There are so many alternatives out there now, especially post-pandemic, with the explosion in delivery platforms and other platforms. And so drivers and couriers are choosing Uber every day. And that is a responsibility for us. We have a duty of care to exercise. We really have to take care of that responsibility. So drivers and couriers are choosing us every day, and we have to take that really seriously, which means that when they have concerns, we have to listen to them and we have to act on them.
Absolutely. There's a thread in there I'm going to tug on in a second. I might take a roundabout route to get there, but it's all going to tie together. Trust me. I mentioned in the intro that you may have had a large role in getting the exec team to drive and experience the products for themselves. And I only said that because I was reading a piece in the Wall Street Journal a couple of weeks ago, and I made note of a specific paragraph where it talks about you leading a 4-hour Zoom with a 227 slide deck explaining why this is so important to get out there and understand the driver and courier's point of view. And I've got a billion questions around that. But first, is that a relatively accurate summation of kind of what went down?
It was a 4-hour session. I want to say the 227 slides included the appendix. So I did not torture our CEO and our executive team through all 200 slides.
That's so funny.
But it was a lot. It was a lot of slides.
My first question was, of the 227, how many were in the rough draft of that bad boy? Was that a 500 plus and you got it down to 220? I was like, that's a lot of slides.
It was probably something like that. It was bigger and then it got cut down.
Very, very funny. But was it so? In question 2, before you brought this idea to the executives and the team and saying this is what we need to do, and this ties it back to all that feedback. When did you, Carrol, realize this is the most important thing we could do? It's the only way to really understand their point of view. Was there a bit of feedback or something that you received from checking the forums or listening to earners that made you say, if this is what's happening, we've got to get in the seats and we've got to see this for ourselves. We have to understand it better. What was the catalyst for that plan and that movement for you?
I've been at Uber 7 years now, and what has kept me at the company has been the drivers and the couriers. It's the people who are using our platform for work. They're using it to earn money. They're using it to put food on the table for their families. A lot of folks are sending money to family members overseas and to send their kids to school or to pay medical bills. And so that has what's kept me here this entire time. And it wasn't a new realization to me or really to anyone that we had to get closer to the actual experience of the people who are using our platform to earn money. We had to get behind the wheel. We had to actually go deliver food, take passengers, et cetera. The Wall Street Journal article, it's an interesting one you mentioned because, the way that some of these press stories work is that, you can't include everyone. And so, they interview a couple of people who end up getting quoted. Right. And I really want to say that there were hundreds of people at this company who for a long time wanted more and more, and all of our company to go out and drive and deliver. And I represented these hundreds of people when we went and talked to the executive team, and we had that 4-hour long meeting. But it was actually hundreds of people within the company who were rallying for this, for a change in the way that we work. And so many of us for a long time wanted to go out, get on the road, drive and deliver more, and to see more people doing it. And it's really, part of this is that when you work at Uber, you're very accustomed to riding Ubers and you're accustomed to ordering food, but it's not part of our everyday life to actually go and use the Uber app to earn money.
Right.
And so because of that side of our platform, just naturally, you're not going to be as close to the user experience if you're not actually doing it yourself. And so that was really the impetus is, hey, there are a lot of really valid issues that are being raised by drivers and couriers. And we can, read forums, we can have as many conversations as we want, but the best way to experience it is actually yourself behind the wheel.
Yeah.
And so that was the impetus, and it was driven by lots and lots of people.
It's just an incredibly cool thing that happens here, and it's not as common a practice as it should be in every industry. I worked many jobs before finding myself here, service industry, retail jobs, and it's a common refrain of if the leadership just saw what we're doing on the day to day, they'd understand better and make better decisions. And so to see so many people on this team and see this place so committed to it, it's just a cool thing. So I always try to highlight it. I always want to spotlight it because I feel only people who are genuinely invested in listening would push for something like that. So kudos to you and the team for making that happen. As someone with their ear to the ground, what do you most frequently hear from our earners?
There's a lot of stuff, a lot of feedback out there, but I always boil it down to two things. What drivers and couriers want from Uber is they want to get online and they want to make money.
Yeah.
It really is that simple. And there are certainly more, and there are other things that get more complicated and detailed. But the thing that really brings people to Uber, whether you're doing it full-time or part-time, is that you just want to get online whenever it suits your schedule, and you want to make money doing so. And so really, if we just keep those two things in mind, the best things that we can do for drivers and couriers are when they want to get online, when it works for their schedule, we have to get out of their way. We have to be able, we are here to suit their schedule. We are here to work for them and to work around the commitments that they have in their lives. So when they want to get online, we've got to be able to make that as seamless and easy as possible. Yeah. And we have rigorous screening. We have a lot of things that get in the way that are very valid. But we've also then got to make sure that the reasons why, if you can't get online at a certain time, then the reasons have to be clear. And if there's something that we need you to do to take action on in order to resolve that issue, that has to be actionable, and it has to be, we have to communicate that in the right way. And there are a lot of times that we're falling short on this. You will hear a lot of drivers and couriers out there talk about the way that we handle deactivations is unfair. It's unempathetic. They feel like they don't have a voice, that we're just listening to, one side of the equation. And there are valid concerns there, and we've really got to do better. So that's one thing, is that when drivers and couriers want to get online, we've got to do our best to help them get online. The second thing is they're here to make money. So that means that if they're not staying busy and making money, then they're not going to want to choose Uber, the next day and the day after that. So we've got to make sure that, what are you going to make for a certain job? What does the job entail? It's starting here, it's ending here. It entails picking up, this many things. You're going to end up in this place, in this locale. Here's how long that trip is going to take. These are the kinds of essential details that we need to make sure they have access to upfront, and then they can make decisions as to whether they want to do those jobs or not. We've got to make sure that we are giving that information so that they can make decisions for them that are making them money.
Amazing. That was such a wonderful response. You knocked out like 4 questions I had follow-ups in that response. Thank you for that. Because I was going to say, what could we be doing differently or better? What are your top 3 priorities? I think you checked it all off. That was amazing. Thank you for that. You mentioned at the end of the day, it's all about reducing the friction and tearing down the walls between doing the work and making some money, making it seamless, making it easy, making it comfortable. And to that point, part of the batch of the new content we've been making for earners, we've been working on this little short video series called The Tune Up, which just highlights new features and stuff. So I've been working on this hands-on with the team and seeing all these cool new things that are happening in the app. This month, we're talking a lot about airport pickups and drop-offs and all the ways in which we've simplified that and reduced some of the pain points there. Do you have a favorite new feature for earners or a favorite new product? Or do you want to like spoil one that's coming down the pipeline that we don't know about yet? But like, what do you love about the new stuff that's coming out? This is what you do all day. What are you most excited about right now?
Truly, I think that showing drivers the information about the job up front is my favorite feature, because I talk to thousands of drivers and couriers now, over my 7 years. And for so long, we didn't show the destination of a trip or what you would make up front. And we changed that, in about a year or so ago. And it's not everywhere yet. We're still, making sure that we're monitoring it and making sure that it's working the way that it should. And there are definitely learnings there. There's things that we have to improve along the way. But by and large, the feedback that we have heard from drivers and couriers is that is the biggest and that's the best change for them.
Yeah.
The feedback that we've heard from drivers and couriers is by and large that's the biggest change and that's the best for them. And so that is my favorite feature, because that's what I'm hearing from drivers and couriers is their favorite feature.
That's got to be a good feeling. You work really hard on bringing something to light. You get it out there. You release it into the wild. When something's received in a positive way, how does that? Do you take a moment to celebrate the victory, or do you keep going because there's just so many things you're chipping away at?
The one of the best moments is when we get either a survey comment or a driver forum post or a support ticket or even just an in-car conversation with a driver or a courier saying that they appreciate Uber and what it means to them in their life, the goals that it's helped them achieve. And when we make positive changes that make that day-to-day experience of using the app better, it is really gratifying and it is worth celebrating. We got a lot of work to do because we're here working for the people. We're here working for the workers. We're here working for the drivers and the couriers who are using Uber to earn money. And so when we see that we do something right, and when we see drivers and couriers really like it, it is worth celebrating.
Do you ever, when you're out there driving, or when you're a passenger, do you ever mention, are you like a secret customer, or do you tell them like who you are and what you do? Like how do those conversations look when you're in the car? Do you like,
whenever I'm asking someone about their experience using Uber, I always tell them.
Okay. Yeah. You always tell them.
And I always tell them, this is not going to affect anything about your account.
Right.
I'm here to get your real unfiltered feedback. And almost every time the response I'll get from a driver is, "Oh, don't worry, I'm going to give you that unfiltered feedback."
Well, I'll tell you, don't you worry about it. You gotta love that. That's good. Well, that's what you want. You need to hear that. You need the unfiltered feedback. You need to know what it is. Otherwise, how are you ever going to fix it? How are you ever going to get better? You have to, no matter how great something may be, a product, a service, whatever, you've got to look at it with a critical eye, because otherwise you're never going to improve. You've got to constantly be looking for ways to improve. And it sounds like that's exactly what you're doing. We're coming in the home stretch. We've touched on this a bit throughout our time, but if you were sitting with a group of drivers for an open conversation, which it sounds like you do often, what would you like them to know about Uber?
One, the first thing is really just that we are here working for you. And there are so many people at this company. There are thousands of us who, our full-time job is to make the experience of using Uber the best platform in the world for you. So continue to share your feedback with us. We're here working every day to make it better, and we're not going to stop until we really are. And I truly believe that we are today, but we're not going to stop until we really can say, and all of our drivers and couriers can agree that we are the best platform in the world for flexible work.
Amazing. That's as fantastic spot as any to wrap things up. But anyone who's listened or watched the show knows I love going out on a fun note. So as of right now, by my calculations, Carol, we are currently 137 days out from Halloween. Has the planning begun? Are there talks for this year's costumes? Well, how early do you start the prep? It looks like it's a big deal in your house. What's the story? What's Halloween looking like for 2023?
Halloween is like a professional sport in my family. I take it very seriously. It's actually a year-round thing. I'm always, all year round, I'm looking for sources of inspiration.
Do you not want you like to big reveal on the day? You're not going to tell me anything now, huh? It's all in the process. It's all coming. It's working.
No, I'm happy to share some ideas. I think that this year I'm going to go in the food theme. Okay. So that's what I got for you.
Love it.
You'll have to wait.
Well, I was
You'll
just,
have to wait until October
I can't wait. Honestly, I can't wait. Because I was looking at your Instagram and I saw you had like some reels and stuff posted and like the Tic Tac costume from, I think it was 2018 or something like that. It was a throwback. That's right. But oh my God, how cool. So fun. And I just love, my wife and I, big homemade costume people. The more you can make, the more fun it is. And we have a rich history of making our own costumes every year. And so I always like to see a fellow costume maker. Yeah, well, I'll have to share. I'll have to share some fun stuff. All right, I got to wrap things up. I want to be cognizant of your time. Carol, I really had fun with you today, and I appreciate you making time in your schedule to do this. It means a ton to all of us here working on the show, and I hope you had fun. Would you do it again? Would you come back?
If you'll have me.
Well, the door is always open. Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you again. And to everyone out there following along at home, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our new Earning with Uber YouTube channel. And if you really enjoyed today's episode, then tell your friends and fellow earners. We are working on all kinds of unique original content specifically made for you, and we're super excited to share it all. I say it every week. I mean it every time. Thanks again to Carrol Chang, and of course to you, our wonderful audience. I'm your host, Matt Forte, and we'll catch you again next time on Behind the Wheel.